Hello, hello. My name is Suzanne Verton, and I'm the founder of Discover Change. And we're all about sharing tips, strategies, and inspiration that can help to make a difference. And I'm really excited to be here today with Tahir Parvaz. Hi, Tahir. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Hi, Suzanne. You okay?
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you so much for taking part in this interview today. We'll actually be discussing working with the community, including some tips for promoting and running community activities. So I know to hear you have extensive experience in running and organizing community groups and activities. So I'd like to ask you to maybe share some of your experience, some of your journey, and also some useful tips, maybe with other volunteers and community leaders who are there to wanting to make a difference and maybe run some of the youth groups. So maybe just to start off with, maybe you could just describe what you do. I know you wear many hats, you run lots of different projects. So what is your experience in running community groups and activities?
Well, it's really the grassroots level of becoming a run activator is where I started 5 years ago. So that's where majority of my experience is being a community deliverer of an activity. But it's much more than just turning up and doing the delivery of a session. You have to be a friend, you have to be a coach, you have to be a mentor, you have to be organizer, you have to have good soft skills. It's all about soft skills. So for me, what I do is I go out in communities, I meet wonderful people, I help them take their first steps into activity. And that's done through a fun, friendly method of creating a session that's suitable for everyone's ability, making it fun, flexible, adaptable, all the things that you have to do to capture your audience. And these audiences that we're working with are the most difficult in the most deprived communities, people who don't have much time on their hands, and find it a struggle to come out and do physical activity. So that's my basic level, is working with the right communities in the right areas.
Well, that's great, and I can imagine that there's a lot of challenges there as well, probably on reaching those audiences, engaging with them, and we'll come to that actually in a moment. So you mentioned that you run a lot of different types of activities. What types of activities exactly?
So beginners walking group could be one, just getting somebody out from a surgery or from a community center and just going out on a 1 or 2 kilometer walk locally to the site that they might be at, or near a park that we've chosen. So that's our basic form of exercise, is a walk. Now you can have a health walk where you have a brisk walk. You can have a sensory walk where you're stopping and you're noticing and appreciating all the sensory elements, yeah. Or you can have a bit of an art trail, or a treasure hunt type of walk, where you're doing something active, proactive at the same time as well, taking in some experiences. So there's lots of ways to make a walk fun, and that's what we've been doing over the last 5 years here. Yeah.
I think that's really good to hear because I think some people always, well, there are certainly, I've sometimes certainly thought that way, that the exercise is all about going to the gym and working really hard. And actually, only in the last few years, I've really taken on like sensory walks and meditating in the forest or something like that, just taking that time. So, how do you actually promote these types of activities? Because I bet people might have never come across this kind of term
Yeah.
or even these activities.
Yeah, but when we mention the activities, there are other ones that have, like Catch to 5K, for example, is a beginners running group. So when you advertise that, some people may have heard of the word Catch to 5K, they've seen it on the news or referenced somewhere. So, breaking it down to what is a beginners walking group, or what is a Catch to 5K group. And it's a 9-week program that gets you running from 0 up to 30 minutes nonstop. And that's built over 9 weeks on a coach-led session, like where I would be a coach delivering a session. It could be 2 or 3 times a week. So arranging a spot for people to meet at a convenient time, and then getting the buy-in. So get people in, signed up, and saying, right, I want to make a difference to my health and well-being. I want to take on that challenge. So there's some people that take on a challenge because they need challenge. They call the challenges. And then there's other ones that are just, social animals, just need the contact with human people, and they just want to come for a walk and have a chat. And there's those elements as well. So it's different types of different abilities. But the type of skills that are needed are the soft skills to break down any of these barriers, welcoming is the biggest thing. So, you know, having a smile on your face, becoming a person that can help bring others into a group environment. You know, so those soft skills are really important, and you can't like teach them. You've got to have them inbuilt as well, and you can demonstrate and you can show, but you've got to be that type of person as well. You know, welcoming, soft, approachable, fun, friendly. You know, somebody who's seen as a son of the community, somebody who's seen as someone like me who looks like me and is not necessarily like the shape of a runner or a walker that you might stereotypically have an image of. So we're trying to overcome all those barriers. You don't need to dress like a runner or a walker. You can come in whatever costume or clothing or whatever you would like to come in. See, that's what we do. So it's really the soft skills. But then there's you know, the things behind the scenes that you have to do, like assessments, planning, project management, volunteer recruitment, volunteer mentoring, assigning them to other run leaders so they can learn, shadowing days, and then overall then handing over to a community. So you've kind of done something with that community, built up people from zero to some physical activity, and then trained someone from within the group, and then handed the group over to them to make it self-sustainable. So that's some of the skills that you need. Yeah.
That sounds really good, actually. I like the way that you've listed specific skills and understanding that what's needed. And I find it interesting what you said there about some of that being a very welcoming person. Some of that can certainly be learned, but then some of that should hopefully come internally and wanting to be there. And we certainly want to trust that the people that we are collaborating with, a lot of these community leaders and volunteers, are there for a reason, aren't they? They tend to really want to make that difference. So I'd like to maybe hear, what was your start of the journey? I mean, I think you may have mentioned once when we met before that you never thought that you would be a run leader and that you would run these groups. So how did it actually happen?
Well, it's funny because I was on my own personal journey. You know, about 7 years ago, I was reaching 40. I went for a well person check. I had borderline type 2 diabetes, you know, raised cholesterol, family history of heart disease. So it gave me that kick, you know, that I needed up the rear to get me moving, get me doing something away from a sedentary lifestyle into a more active lifestyle. And it's really difficult. I was overweight, I was obese, considered obese, you know, 17 stone nearly. And what I did was I took small positive changes, and didn't want to go rush in to sign up for a marathon or something like that. It was just small changes. So firstly, diet, changing my diet, changing my lifestyle, and introducing walking, maybe walking to a journey that you used to take a car to, walking to work, catching public transport to work rather than driving from office to house door. That and that's the first changes that I did, and then it helped me lose initial weight that came off, and from there I started enjoying exploring my area, canals, waterways, parks, um, and buddying up with people. Someone helped me, someone, you know, that gem of a person that we all have in our lives that took you by the hand and said, I'm going to help you, you know. And this person can sacrifice their time. There could be a gym goer, regular gym goer or whatever, but they said, no, I'll go for a walk with you actually. And, you know, having that buddy, Tuesday and Thursday I used to meet after work and go into town along the canal, and it was just a little incentive of, I'll buy you a Nero or coffee or something from a coffee shop if we go into town. So that was my little, you know, my little nugget, my little thing that I was looking forward to, my little reward. And it was little goals, little rewards. Like, oh, if I get there, I'll have a nice drink. I'll get to sit in Brindley Place, I'll watch people walking past, and then we'll have a nice steady stroll back to home. So that's what did it for me, really, is setting those small sort of like challenges to get me going. That helped me then get into a regular form of exercise. It helped my body shape change, you know, overcome some of the difficulties I was facing, like shin splints and pain on my legs and my calf muscles that we all have been through. And then, you know, when you start eating healthier and your weight comes a little bit lower, you can do things better. So finding my breathing was better, I can go on longer, I could walk longer. And then from there, I fell in love with running, and we started just doing running from lamppost to lamppost, or tree to tree, or bench to bench, some little, like I said, little milestones. And then, and it's building on that, you know, every day or every week, building on, and until to the point when I signed up for my first 5K run. And it was a park run, you know, it was in Cannon Hill Park. Two of my friends took me along, said, let's do this thing called park run. And since then, I've fallen in love with running, and have ran from zero all the way up to a marathon now as well.
Oh,
So that's my personal journey.
congratulations.
And also have lost on the journey nearly 4 stones in weight as well. So
Well,
yeah,
massive congratulations. So
thank you.
that's really inspiring story, and all the way from actually having quite, well, let's say not the best health conditions and fitness, and then going to a point of actually running a marathon. So was that the key thing for you, and actually kind of share that with other people, that anyone can do this, not necessarily go all the way to the marathon, but anyone can go out, anyone can kind of enjoy the nature and the health benefits? So is that what led you to become a run leader then eventually?
Absolutely. You know, I was going through a difficult time with my father, who was critically ill. I
Okay.
used this time that I was focused on his rehab to focus on myself as well. And that's where my mental health improved, my physical health improved. And then when thankfully, my father got better after 6 months, I went into volunteer because I'd been on my personal journey of weight loss. And I thought I can inspire others. My sister was working on a project at the time called Run Birmingham, and she said, we're looking for volunteer run leaders for something that you're doing naturally. You're doing a group in Edgbaston Reservoir. Why don't you get your group signed up, welcome new people into the group, and then you're giving something back while you're looking for work. And so I went in on that to volunteer. And, you know, while I was there, I met some wonderful people in the Birmingham Wellbeing Service who offered me a short-term contract. Said, why don't you give this a try? We're looking for people from the community, not necessarily have to be runners, but we want people with communities. And I tried it and fell in love. After 3 months of just doing the job, fell in love. I got my first group of Couch to 5K, and not traditionally people that you would engage with. So Muslim women who are wearing niqab or hijab, you know, who maybe, you know, stereotypically are not seen as a runners, or would do that running type of activity, overcoming those challenges, bringing them into a safe space, doing a program of 9 weeks, building up from zero to running 30 minutes, and celebrating with successes with medals and a nice social drink and milkshakes in Brindley Place. And that's what did it for me, you know, thinking if I could do this. And I just inspired a group of 15 ladies to take their first steps to become a runner, you know, and that really gave me the purpose and sense of the work that I do. And it's much more rewarding than financial. You know, it's taking and seeing people blossom from that very shy, you know, person coming into a group to blossoming into this beautiful person that's then becomes physically active, but also civically and socially active, you know,
Mm.
connecting those dots, signposting them onto an art group maybe nearby, or a women's, you know, chat and chai group, or a parent and toddler session, whatever it may be. It was a nice way of getting physically active,
Yeah.
and that's very, very much part of the role that I did as well.